just calling to say I...
If you guys enjoy PvP content, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, I stream on Twitch, so if you want to come hang out with me, twitch.tv/RageQuittingGaming. What's up, guys? Rage Quitting here, back with another video guide for you guys, and this time we're going to do the Arsenal Mercenary. Let's go right into the gear here. So the stats that we want is 105% accuracy, the minimum threshold in alacrity, which is above the 7.14%. With the new gear here, this is the minimum number that you will achieve. It's 8.7. If I take one piece of alacrity off, it dips below the threshold that we want to reach. So this is the number here, and then the rest of it is into crit, right? The tactical that we're using is the primed ignition tactical. Priming shot causes its targets to burn. Blazing bolts, heat seeker missiles, and tracer missile all take its damage. So this primed ignition dot lasts for about 15 seconds, which is about the same as the actual cooldown of the ability priming shot, which is 16 seconds. And the dot by itself does anywhere from maybe like 27 to 30k damage with just priming shot, you know, additional burn damage to the priming shot here. When tracer missile and blazing bolts and heat seeker all take its damage within that time frame of 15 seconds, the total damage for the dot is actually around like 50k damage here. So very good pressure. You can kind of think of this kind of like a Stormwatch ish, you know, from Lightning Sorcerer. It kind of works in the same way. The other tactical that I was using before was Burning Bright, which I really like, but I just did a side-to-side comparison parse between these two tacticals, and although Burning Bright will give you bigger burst because your priming shot will deal 100% more damage after a full duration blazing bolts, so you can hit anywhere from maybe like 60 to 80k priming shots with this, you know, if all the stars align. But the overall damage was significantly higher with primed ignition. So with primed ignition, 1 minute parses, I was getting like 24,000 DPS, and with Burning Bright, I was only reaching about at most 22k DPS. It was usually around 20k, so anywhere between 20k and 22k DPS with Burning Bright, but primed ignition reached 24,000 DPS. So I think it's a big difference there, and that's the one that I'll be using from now on is primed ignition. In my eyes, it's better. Okay, so the relics we are using are Mastery Power and... oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the implants. So the implants we're using is Random Charge Package. Damaging an enemy or healing an ally has a 10% chance to generate a stack of Supercharge. And then also Concentrated Fire. Activating Supercharge gas makes your next rail shot critically hit. Okay, so all right, moving on to the combat style here. So for the single target setup, there's two setups that you can do with Arsenal Mercenary. With the introduction of some new talents, you can do a lot of AoE damage, which is really fun actually. Yeah, here, check this out.
Okay.
Right here.
Do it. Do it.
Ah.
Oh.
Dude, beautiful. But the single target build is with proficient tracing, reduces the activation time of tracer missile by 0.2 seconds. My cast time for tracer missile is 1.4 seconds. Minusing the 0.2 would make it a 1.2 second cast, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but over a lengthy period, that does add up, okay? You'll get more tracer missiles off in the long run, which will result in more single target damage. If you want to do more of an AoE build though, this talent right here, Triple Trace, is really nice. Tracer missile fires up to 2 additional half-strength missiles at other enemies within 5 meters of the primary target. So this talent here synergizes very well with this one up here in the 39 row. So if you want to do the AoE build, let me just go ahead and switch these two talents here. So for the AoE build, you get an AoE tracer missile, and then through thermonuclear fusion missile spreads your tracer missile's heat signature to targets it damages, and then also heat seeker missiles fires additional quarter strength missiles at nearby targets affected by your heat signature. This is really fun in PvP. But so this is the AoE setup here with these two talents. If you're focusing on single target build, then proficient tracing and tracing residue here would be better. I tested this against customized warhead, increased the critical chance and critical damage of heat seeker missiles by 10%, which sounds nice, because you do want heat seeker missiles to crit. When they don't crit, it's very unsatisfying, and it feels like you're hitting, you know, very weak heat seeker missiles, like 25k heat seekers non-crit, but like 46 when they do crit. You know, kind of a big difference there. But this is still kind of RNG based If you want more reliable damage, tracing residue is better, especially if you for single target when you're using proficient tracing here. So heat seekers having a lower cooldown, or not a lower cooldown, but a lower cast time, and they'll be doing 5% more damage after you do a heat seeker. This is very reliable, and it will happen every single time. Whereas, you know, increasing your crit chance and crit damage, there's still a chance that it won't crit, you know. So this is the setup that we're using here for single target, and then this is the other way to go for AoE. All right, moving on past these two talent rows here, I really like to take Stealth Scan. Stealth Scan is an ability you put on the ground, this green circle right here. Okay, in the meta right now, there's a lot of operatives, assassins, marauders. A well-timed stealth scan can really screw them over, prevent them from escaping, or if you drop it quick enough when they cloak, you can bring them right back out of stealth and then kill them. I think this is a very underrated utility here that I don't really see a lot of people running. I definitely run this every time. Moving up here in the 43 row, Chaff Flare reduces a threat towards all current enemies. That's for PvE, but also gives you ranged melee and ranged defense chance by 35%. So defense chance applies to weapon damage or white damage, good against weapon damage classes, but it also gives you interrupt immunity and grants 2 charges of decoy. Each charge of decoy intercepts and absorbs 1 incoming force or tech attack. So it's good against weapon damage abilities, and it's good against force or tech damage. It'll absorb 2 of those attacks. Very low cooldown too, 45 seconds. Like, you'll pretty much always have it whenever you need it. It's just another defensive layer that you have to keep yourself alive. Moving up here in the 51 row, Energy Rebounder. When you take damage, the active cooldown of Energy Shield is reduced by 3 seconds. It can occur once every 1.5 seconds. In addition, when taking damage, you have 20% to emit an Energy Redoubt, which lasts 6 seconds and absorbs X amount of damage. So this is really nice because your shield here, Energy Shield, is on a 2-minute cooldown, increases damage reduction by 25% for 12 seconds. You know, this is the first line of defense that you have, or that I use whenever I'm being targeted. This is the first thing that I throw up, especially because we have this talent here. So now whenever you take damage, you're lowering the cooldown of that ability, and you will get it back much faster. Okay, so we like to take Energy Rebounder here. Up in the 64 row, I prefer to use Thrill of the Hunt. Allows Blazing Bolts to be used while moving. So Blazing Bolts is part of your main damage rotation. It's this ability right here, and now you can use it on the run. I really don't like sitting still in one spot, being planted the whole time. I really like the fact that you can stay on the move while using this ability, because when you're on target and people are always trying to line of sight you or outrange you or something, this just helps you maintain that line of sight so you can keep pressure on your target. Otherwise, it's very annoying having to chase things down, you know, and not being able to use abilities on the move, because your other main ability that you use all the time is Tracer Missile, and this one is casted, you know, unless you do a priming shot, which makes your next Tracer Missile instant cast. But for the most part, you will be planted while you're using Tracer Missile, so having another ability that you can use on the run is very useful to me. Okay, personal preference here, but I really like Thrill of the Hunt. Moving up here in the level 68 row, there's only one option. It's Responsive Safeguards. 2-minute cooldown. You reflect 50% of the damage back at the attacker, and when they attack you, you will be healed for 5% of your max health each time an attack is absorbed, okay, for the next 6 seconds. So another layer of defensive that you have to keep yourself alive. Mercenary is not the most mobile, other than, you know, you have Rocket out, which you can use, you know, going backwards. Or if you turn your camera around and then right-click real quick, you can do it this way going forward and chase things down. 2 charges, 20-second cooldown. But other than that, you don't have hydraulic overrides anymore because they make you choose it in this row, and you're not the most mobile. So a lot of the times you do actually have to kind of just trade damage with people and tank damage. So this is a very good ability for that, especially when you pop it at clutch moments when you're already kind of low. Some people see that you throw this up and they ignore the fact that it actually heals you, and they'll try to DPS you through it anyway, but they're actually helping you out because they're giving you health back, okay? The good players will immediately stop attacking you and just wait for this to fall off and then just kill you. So, you know, time and place to use it, but, you know, you try to use it so that you get some health back, and you'll reflect some big damage back at the attacker. In the level 73 row up here, we have trauma regulators. So while energy shield is active, you generate stacks of trauma regulators, stacks up to 10 times, and when the shield expires, the trauma regulators heal you for 4% of your max health per stack, right? So trauma regulators is now attached to your energy shield, this ability here. If people are attacking you during this cooldown, they're giving you stacks, and if they can't kill you by the time the shield falls off, you're gonna get a lot of health back. Synergizes well with energy rebounder. You know, when you take damage, you get the cooldown back sooner. This is a way to gain your health back. Responsive safeguards is another way to gain your health back, and you also have Cultal Overload, which will give you 35% of your max HP back after an 8-second period. And then, you know, besides that, you have your own self heals. So you can be, if you use your cooldowns at the right time, you can be very tanky and hard to kill. But that just comes with experience and play time. So Mercenary, very good defensives here, okay? Other than the tree here, the only way we change it is if we're going to do a single target build or an AoE build. So if you're going to do the AoE, which is very fun in unranked war zones, triple trace with thermonuclear fusion. And if you're going to focus on single target, then I recommend tracing residue and proficient tracing. All right, guys, moving on to the rotation here. What we want to do, since we are using primed ignition, priming shot causes its targets to burn. Blazing bolts, heat seeker missiles, and tracer missile all tick its damage. For this single target, since we're doing single target, we are going to use a single target spec. Okay, so tracing residue, proficient tracing, but like I said, if you want to do AoE, you can do this build here. Actually, I might as well just go over both of them, but let's use our imaginations here. If you use the AoE build, once you do a tracer missile on the target, that tracer missile would then have split off and hit 3 targets near this one here. If there's more than 3 targets and you want to spread that tracer missile onto more targets, then you would just do a tracer missile followed by a fusion missile, okay? And what I like to do is use power surge before the fusion missile, just to make sure that I can get the spread off quickly, because sometimes, you know, people scatter. And if I think they're going to scatter in the time it takes me to cast this fusion missile, I'll just go ahead and use power surge to make that fusion missile instant, so I don't have to worry about them scattering after I'm trying to cast this fusion missile, okay? So if you want to do the AoE heat seeker missiles, it'll be something to this effect here. You're going to go ahead and do tracer missile, power surge, fusion missile, and then boom, heat seekers. And those heat seekers would then hit everything that you have your fusion missile spreading that tracer missile effect to, okay? Yeah, here, check this out.
Okay.
Right here.
Do it. Do it.
Wow.
Oh.
Dude, beautiful. And it's really cool to see, okay? But other than that, you just do like the regular rotation, which I will show you here. Whenever there's AoE to be had, that's pretty much what you're going to try to do, is tracer missile, spread it with the fusion, and then heat seekers to hit everybody. But outside of that, you're doing the rotation like normal, which would be tracer missile. Then we're going to do a priming shot because we want the tactical to start burning, okay? And then we're going to do a heat seeker missile into a blazing bolts. After blazing bolts, we're going to do another tracer missile, which should reset blazing bolts and do it again. And then after 3 tracer missiles, our rail shot will light up, indicating that it's going to do 30% more damage. And then so we'll let the rail shot go, okay? It's preferred that you can use your supercharged gas as often as possible, but make sure in that 8-second window, you will also be able to get the rail shot off, okay? We are using the supercharged gas on our procced rail shot to make sure that it auto crits for some big damage, okay? So here we go with the rotation. I'm going to open with tracer missile first, and then we'll go into the rest of it, okay? So tracer missile, priming shot, heat seeker, blazing bolts, into a insta tracer, one more tracer, and then rail shot. Boom. And then go into the blazing bolts whenever we have it reset. And when everything's on cooldown, just use tracer missiles, okay, until things come back. Heat seeker, priming shot, blazing bolts, tracer. Let's do a couple more tracers just so I can show you the supercharged gas here. So supercharge, and then boom, rail shot, okay? Right back into the blazing bolts. The rotation here is actually very simple. What you're doing basically is just resetting blazing bolts as often as you can with tracer missiles, and then when you get all the stacks up for the rail shot, you're going to go ahead and let the rail shot go. But before you let the rail shot go, if supercharged gas is available, you should always use supercharged gas beforehand, okay? And that's pretty much it. Not really much to say about the rotation, but we'll just go ahead and do another one here. Let's use our recharge and reload out of combat heal to gain our stacks of supercharge, which you can also build by using Colto Shot or Rapid Scan or Rapid Shots or Tracer Missile. A lot of different things build the supercharge. Okay, but anyway, when you're starting from out of combat here, we're gonna go ahead and do this: Tracer Missile, Priming Shot, Blazing Bolts. We're gonna use our supercharge here: Heat Seeker, Tracer Missile, one more Tracer Missile into a rail shot, and then Blazing Bolts, Tracer, Tracer, Blazing Bolts. Okay, Priming Shot, Heat Seeker, Tracer, Tracer, Rail Shot, Blazing Bolts. Okay, you guys kind of get the idea. It's not all that complicated. Just get over here on the target dummy and practice it. You're just really keeping the priming shots on target on cooldown, resetting your Blazing Bolts with Tracer Missiles, and letting go of that Rail Shot whenever it's procced so that it does extra damage. Okay? If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on another one. Don't forget to check me out on twitch.tv/RageQuittingGaming.